So here's our prepared questions, and we're going to get started with September Q&A questions with Jennifer. And this is Jennifer's first one. I'm just drop my camera off along with Alicia, and we'll be back here in the background.
Sure. We had a student submit in that they're a full-time worker. So what is the suggested way to study if they want to take their test in the next 3 months? So what's the best way to take advantage of, so they're looking at timing on the test, but there's a lot of different ways to take advantage of that, especially when you know you have plenty of time to study. So working all day, remember, that's not just 40 hours a week. You got to drive there, you got to get there, you got your family time to account for, dinner, evening, homework, all of that stuff. You got doctor's appointments, grocery shopping. So when we think it's a full-time job, I'll just study in the evening. Well, we know that there's a lot more to it than that, a lot more to everybody's life than just that. So you want to be able to think about what time you can devote, because we know all those other things come up. So if you're looking at taking just a refresher, like one of the Blitz packages, you just need to brush up a little bit because you've been out of the field for a little while and you feel rusty, or you started at the beginning of the year and now you're coming up on the end of the year and you don't want to buy new books, so you want to try and take an exam. Or if you're doing an online course, whether it's through AAPC or CCO, they run about the same length of time. Or if you want to look at that set time schedule. So like everything else you do daily, you had to get in a habit of flossing, you had to get in a habit of exercising every morning. We want to do the same thing with studying. So you're looking at a routine. You want to try and make it something that you're going to devote that time to every day. And then it becomes a routine. And then it's not work, it's not a chore, it's not difficult, and it becomes easier for you. So one of the best ways is setting some time on your calendar. Putting in, I actually have a paper calendar. I was amazed, Boyd was amazed actually that I use one. And I actually saw a student in my class the other day, she has an agenda calendar as well. So I know most people have it on their phone, but making sure that you're marking time, letting the family know, letting your husband or your kids know, this is mom's time, this is dad's time right now. We need to, I need to devote to my studying. I actually have a sign I hang on my door saying, I'm working right now. And whether you need to actually lock your door, possibly, turn off the phone, use the do not disturb feature of your phone so you're not interrupted by text messages or stuff. And then you'll get in that routine, you'll get in that habit. So what are you going to study in this time? You're going to look at reviewing those guidelines, refreshing yourself on those guidelines because they're so ever important, marking your pages, writing what page number that guideline affects if it's ICD-10, highlighting, doing your tabs, definitely your bat. If you haven't batted, if you haven't bubble highlighted and annotated the CPT information, that's an easy way to quickly on a test be able to extract that information really quick, is if you have the BAT technique, if it's already done up in your books. So reviewing those CPT sections perhaps. Taking practice exams. A lot of places offer them, whether you purchase the bundle from AAPC and comes with multiple. We have them free on our website on CCO. There's a lot of places out there that offer a CPC exam. So take one for practice. What areas are you struggling with? And then go back and restudy those areas until you're comfortable with it. Reviewing, go to some kind of free quiz websites for anatomy and physiology and medical terminology and quiz yourself. See how well you can come up with these answers off the top of your head, because that's what you're going to have to do on that exam if we're talking a CPC exam. But a lot of the exams hold anatomy or your terminology you're definitely dealing with in any exam you take. So being able to familiarize yourself again with the anatomy and I've got tongue-tied tonight, anatomy and physiology or your terminology, making that fresh and clear in your brain. Watching YouTube videos. Do you go and pick up your kids every day from the bus and you kind of got to wait in line? Pull up a YouTube video, either a CCO or a medical one. Alicia loves those, being able to watch a procedure. And it might make more sense to you then. And you can, if there's an area you're having difficulty with, you can go, oh, that's what they're doing. Okay, now I understand what they're saying in that CPT code. I get it now. So even if you're just spending 1 hour every night, it doesn't seem like a lot, but especially if you have kids and after the kids are in bed, 1 hour. And if you can devote that just 5 nights a week, you don't have to do it all 7 nights a week. Make your notes on the illustrations. They're all in the book, they're all there for a purpose. So use them, utilize them. Review those guidelines, review the ICD-10 guidelines, review HCPCS. That's a pretty easy book when it gets down to it. But those modifiers that are in there, there's 4 pages of modifiers in the front and back of a HCPCS book. Look them over because you're probably going to see them on a CPC. So setting aside, if you can do more than that, then you're going to do it a little bit quicker and be able to know this information a whole lot quicker, spending more time on those practice exams. If you do like each weekend, so this person had 3 months. So if they study for a little bit and probably like the last month beforehand, take 1 hour and answer 30 questions. Do a practice exam with 30 questions. That's it. If you can do 30 questions in 1 hour, you can do 150 questions in 5 hours, leaving you that extra 40 minutes left over to go back and answer that question you didn't quite get. Go back and review it. Make sure you bubbled on your Scantron and all the exact areas that it had to be. So giving you that a little bit extra time. So if you can do 30 in 1 hour, that's a good thing to shoot for. And like me, I'm sorry, Alicia and I, we have lots of kids. I actually work a couple other jobs besides this one. I'm in a master's program. I'm one of those people who say, I am just way too busy. So take advantage of your lunch breaks, 30 minutes at work. Eat at your desk, but have your book in front of you, review it, go over some information. I read the whole Game of Thrones series on my lunch break. So it took me a year, but that's what I spent my lunch break doing, is reading a book. Waiting for that afternoon or the morning bus, spend a little bit of time there. I'm actually studying for my CDEO exam, and I bring the study guide with me to the bus every night when I go to pick up my son every day. So I spend 15 minutes going through that study guide every day. Sunday school class, in a kind of time where you're just sitting there waiting for somebody. You bring your mother or your father to a doctor's appointment. You got time then, you're sitting there waiting while dinner's cooking. It takes 30 minutes, 25 minutes, 15 minutes. You got some time that you could possibly devote to that. Even a 30-minute increment is easy to find, but that devotion is key. So being able to come up with the time, you're going to feel stressed for time. So if you can either practice those 30 questions in 1 hour, that's a good goal to shoot for. But giving you that familiarity with where everything is, starting to look it over again. Maybe you do dermatology for your job. Well, then you need to get familiar with where everything is in the neurology section. There's spine and neurology as well. It's not just neuromuscular. So getting used to where things are in the book, being able to know different terms that might be used for medical conditions. And another thing to look at, a lot of people don't know this, but your local chapters offer CPC review exams. A lot of them do, CPC review classes. So it could be 4, 6, 8 hours of a day where you go and they're going to have an instructor or somebody teaching to you places where people have problems with the exams, going over things you may not think of, going over those test-taking tips, going over, they might even offer a practice exam there. I know ours does. So I know a lot of people start using that as well. I've actually shared my practice exam with other area chapters, so they might be looking into that too. So it is a good area to look at, a good thing. And if yours isn't offering it, ask them. If they can find somebody to teach one, ask them if they would instruct one. See where maybe another chapter is an hour away from you, see if they're offering one. That hour would be very good in your day. And definitely, as with anything we do in coding, repetition is key. So practice, practice, practice. That's the best way to fit this in and achieve it in a goal that you've set.
Great tips. One thing I will add, in personal experience, I had to learn Portuguese in my 40s because I decided that I was going to be investigating a Brazilian woman from Brazil, and I had like 2 months in order to basically go back and court her. And when I first met her, we had basically about 10 words in common. Basically, the long story short is that I discovered through my own research is that as soon as you wake up in the morning, if you take out those, before you do anything else, if you go and you start whatever you're working on, work on your practice, whatever it is, all the things that Jennifer went through. If you do that at the very beginning of when you wake up, and also before you go to bed, those are the times when your brain is going to be most susceptible of you remembering that stuff. So just wanted to add that. That worked for me, and I still use that to this day. And yes, the marriage still has strength and has produced 2 kids, so it'll work.